What's going on, guys? I hope you're all having a wonderful day today. For those of you that are new to the channel, my name is Ty, and today in this video, we're going to be talking about Deadpool and Wolverine, my most anticipated movie of the year. I think about this movie every single day. I literally could not be more excited, but more specifically, we're going to be talking about, especially because we haven't really seen a final trailer yet, we don't really know everything about this movie. We're going to be talking about the cameos. Of course, don't get me wrong, the cameos are not the main focus of this movie when it comes to it actually being good. I hope that it has a good story, I hope that it has good writing, good dialogue, emotions, whatever, but I'm not going to sit here and act like I am not excited for the cameos that are going to be in here because they've been teased. We've been getting little hints here and there, but realistically, they haven't really shown us that much. So that's why today I just want to put on my tinfoil hat and just speculate who is going to be in Deadpool and Wolverine. And we're going to do a tier list. So guys, moving on over to this tier list here, we've got 5 tiers. We've got the top, of course, absolute lock. This person's going to 100% be in Deadpool and Wolverine. Probably. I think that there's a pretty good chance they're going to be in this movie. 50-50 toss-up. I don't know if this category is really 50-50 perfectly split in the middle, but, there's a chance that they're in this movie. Probably not. I have more reasons why they wouldn't be in this movie than why they would, and not happening. This is just people that are not going to be in this movie. I selected a nice, clean 30 cameos, and I know that seems like a lot, but I'm going to try to burn through them, and we're going to decipher who is going to be in Deadpool and Wolverine. Guys, let's just dive right into things here. Starting off with Ben Affleck's Daredevil. Guys, I'm just going to be real with you. I've never seen this movie before. It's really long. It's 2 hours and 25 minutes. And also, everyone says it's bad, so I have no interest in watching it. I'm going to put this in probably not. I don't really see a reason why Ben Affleck would even really want to be in here, especially since his ex-wife, who, plays Elektra, could potentially be in here. I'm just going to be real. I don't really see this happening. He's not really that interesting of a character as it is. I mean, considering that nobody ever really talks about this movie besides sometimes how bad it is, it's just one of these lost to time comic book films. I don't think anyone cares. Again, like I said, I'm going to try to burn through these, so I don't want to take too long. Up next is going to be Wesley Snipes' Blade. Now listen, this one's been getting a lot of momentum recently. Apparently, he's going to be in the movie. As of right now, I'm going to put him in probably, which I know might seem kind of crazy, but for some reason, there's just been a lot of rumors saying Blade's going to be in this movie. Blade's going to be in this movie. I've never seen the Blade movies. I should probably watch them, before I get into Deadpool and Wolverine. But I don't know. I've been seeing so much momentum on this cameo that I feel like he's probably going to be in this film. I'm almost confident enough to put him in absolute lock, but I just don't think he's a lock because a lot of the time these rumor mills are wrong. Up next is going to be Blake Lively. See, I'm putting some actors in here playing a role. This is going to be Blake Lively as Lady Pool, Lady Deadpool, whatever. I'm going to be honest. I think this is an absolute lock. First of all, I don't see who else would even play Lady Pool, and on top of that, we just got her confirmed in the trailers. We saw her legs or whatever walking. Some people were saying it's going to be Taylor Swift, who we'll talk about in a little bit, but there's no way it would be Taylor Swift. Ryan Reynolds is going to be with his wife, Blake Lively, who's also a, prestigious actress, not the most prestigious actress, but whatever, super popular. She's an absolute lock to me in this movie. There's no way she's not. She's definitely going to be Lady Pool in this film. Up next is Cable. Guys, listen, Josh Brolin has been in interviews, right? And he's been or Brolin, I don't really know why I said Brolin. And he's just been oh, I wish that Ryan Reynolds called me. I wish I was in this movie. I know your ass is lying, bro. Josh, you are lying to us. I know your ass is in this movie. I'm going to be honest, though. I'm putting you in 50-50, okay? I don't think he's probably going to be in this movie or an absolute lock. But most people will probably put him down here because he's oh, no, I'm not going to be in this movie. I think there's a 50-50 chance he's in this movie. I think he might be lying. They were trying to keep a lot of stuff under wraps for this film. They've done it almost flawlessly so far, except for maybe a couple leaks here and there. But I'm telling you, I think there's a 50-50 shot that he's going to show up in this film, especially that he was just in the sequel and he's still alive, all that. It kind of makes sense, especially with the time travel multiversal stuff. Next up is going to be Captain America, Steve Rogers, Chris Evans, whatever you want to call him. His character. I'm going to be real. I'm going to say not happening. I think it's too soon. Wow, look how this lined up. We have one in each category to start off. This is in random order, by the way. I did not choose this. I just feel he just died. Captain America's about to come out, the new one. Doesn't make sense to bring him back this early. And since he's one of the core Avengers, I feel like this isn't the movie to bring him back in. Let's just say you want to go crazy and bring him back. That's what you have, Secret Wars for. And also, it's only been, 5 years since he died. If you think he's dead, whatever, if he's in space. I know some people have different theories. But regardless, I feel like he's too big of a character, and this movie's huge, don't get me wrong, but to just bring back in this movie, I feel like that's more of a Secret Wars thing. So for that reason, I don't think he's going to be in this movie at all. Maybe, on the screens, I know that there's like, the little things in here. I don't think we're going to see him, even though I would love to see him. Keep in mind, this list is not based off of who I would love to see the most. It's not based off that. It's just genuinely using my intuition here to try to predict who's going to be in this movie in my heart of hearts. Because I don't want to, go by favoritism or whatever. I just want to give what I think are like my actual odds here. James Marsden as Cyclops. This is a tough one. I feel like James Marsden, and I'm not dissing him here, but he isn't like the busiest of actors. If he was like a super high A-lister at this point, I feel like, there's no way he would be in this. I think I'm going to give him 50-50 shot. He's one of those core X-Men characters from, those early 2000s films. I could see him being in here. I mean, he got done super dirty with his death in, The Last Stand with Jean Grey. His character wasn't really fleshed out enough, but I did like his banter with Wolverine. It would be so fun to see him in here with Wolverine, especially, if they're like kind of fighting with each other, if he's like, oh, you're a dick or whatever. That would be kind of funny, but it's like a 50-50 toss-up, because I could see James Marsden coming in to giving, one last hurrah at this character. But again, I don't know what's really going to happen, but I'm still, relatively confident, 50-50. Next up, you might be saying, why is Daniel Radcliffe on the screen? This is going to be Daniel Radcliffe as Patch. I don't know if you guys saw in the trailer, but there was like a white Wolverine with his back like facing, Deadpool, basically facing the camera. People are saying it's a Wolverine variant. A lot of people are saying it's Patch from the comics, who's like a Wolverine variant, like I already said. I'm not super familiar with the comics, right? I'm going to be honest with you. I'm just a movie guy. I never claimed to be familiar with them. A lot of people are saying Daniel Radcliffe. If Daniel Radcliffe was our new Wolverine, and I'm talking about like in the next saga, I would love that. I feel like he's such a phenomenal actor and he fits the build. I'm going to put this in probably. I think Daniel Radcliffe as Patch, or at least him as a Wolverine variant, is probably going to show up in this movie, because let's put it this way. You got to figure that we're going to see at least one Wolverine variant, right? At least one, because we saw, the white back Wolverine, whatever. I'm talking about just one. It's going to be maybe some type of, big celebrity person, right? I think Daniel Radcliffe is that guy. I feel like, he's on Broadway and stuff a lot, so I don't know if he's super busy, but regardless, he's going to be going right here. Next up, Taylor Swift as Dazzler. This is one that at some point felt like it was a lock. But then recently there's a report saying, oh no, she's actually not in the movie. Guys, they are lying to our faces. Do you guys remember Andrew Garfield when he said, oh, no, I'm not in the movie. I'm playing the wolf, or whatever that phrase was. That was so funny. Man, I miss those No Way Home times. And that's what it feels like right now. I'm feeling so nostalgic. We're talking about cameos. But the difference is, with this movie, we don't know who's going to be in it. With No Way Home, it was just, is Toby and Andrew going to be in it or not? It was just, 50-50. This is like all is game. Everything's on the table. Who is going to be in this movie? That makes it more exciting. But enough of my rant. Taylor Swift as Dazzler, a lot of momentum has died on this. I still feel like it's 50-50. And you could call me delusional or whatever, but listen, if the movie comes out and she's in it, then I'm not delusional. So I still think there's a 50-50 chance. I get it. She's busy, right? Maybe she's touring. I don't really follow her schedule. I know she had the tour. I don't know if it's still going on. I think maybe in Europe. But I don't care about that report. They're lying to us to build hype, because then when she's in the movie, it's going to be like, oh my God. Think about it. It does no harm by saying, oh yeah, she's not going to be in the movie. Who cares? If she's in it, that makes it just that more exciting. It's a promotional tactic, I believe. Up next is going to be Jennifer Gardner as Elektra. Now listen, I'm not exactly dying to see her in this movie, but unfortunately, this is an absolute lock. I'm pretty sure that it's already been not really leaked, but it's been confirmed that she's signed on to this movie. There was a little hint of her leg in the trailer, supposedly. This is most likely a lock. This movie sucks, but I guess she's going to be in here for some reason. I have to watch it before, Deadpool and Wolverine comes out. Maybe I'll end up liking it, but yeah, everyone says it sucks. Not the most interesting character ever, but I think this is a lock. I'm not dying to put it as a lock. Again, this isn't based off who I want to see, because then it would be literally in the bottom. But I think she's a lock, and hopefully we'll see my predictions right. Next up is going to be Channing Tatum. And I'd be saying, again, why is Mr. 21 Jump Street right here? My name is Jeff. This is going to be Channing Tatum as Gambit. For those of you that don't know, he was supposed to play Gambit in a Gambit film for the X-Men franchise. Never really went through with it. I think that this is going to be one of the better surprises of this movie, and that he is probably going to be in it. And don't get me wrong, I know that it seems like I'm saying, oh my God, everyone's going to be in it. Trust me, we're going to start filling out this bottom in a minute here. But Channing Tatum as Gambit, I feel like he's still very passionate about this role because there's been like a couple, teases where he's like brought it back up again and been like, oh man, I wish I got to play Gambit, whatever. Marvel probably gave him the call and was like, yo, it's your time to shine, baby. Is he going to be Gambit for the future? I don't know, but especially I feel like his career, hasn't taken off to like the highest potential. Like, don't get me wrong, he's a huge star, but what's he really been doing recently? It's not like he's in like some huge franchise or he's been in major movies. I think that he could actually be our Gambit for the future as well. But if it's just a cameo, I'll take it. Gambit's a pretty cool character too. I remember in one of the X-Men movies, Gambit was in there, and honestly, I'm down for all that like New Orleans stuff. Next up is going to be Henry Cavill, just straight up as a Wolverine variant. He's another one of these manlier looking actors who's always rumored, Wolverine, because he's kind of chiseled and he has like the darker features with his hair and stuff. I think that there is a 50-50 chance he's going to be in this movie. Daniel Radcliffe I'm more confident in. I don't really know why, but there's a good chance that Patch turns around and it ends up being Henry Cavill. As of right now, though, it's just going to be 50-50. And listen, honestly, let me change this. I'm going to put him in probably for what I just said. I feel like if we're going to see all these Deadpool variants, whatever, we've got to see at least 2 Wolverine variants. And I think it's going to be Daniel Radcliffe and Henry Cavill. So I'm actually going to change my pick here. Up next is going to be Iron Man. As much as I hate to say it, he's going with his best buddy, and it's not happening. Listen, Tony Stark saved the entire universe. He is the face of the MCU. I'd still say that he still is practically. There's no way they're bringing him back in this movie. Again, this feels like it's primed for Secret Wars. I feel like I'm the only person that believes they're actually never going to bring him back. Maybe I'm delusional. That's just my own personal opinion. My girlfriend loves to claim that, no, they're bringing Tony Stark back. And I'm telling her, man, I don't think they are. Maybe I'm going to be wrong, though. But that's more of a Secret Wars thing, in my opinion. A huge climax thing. Deadpool and Wolverine, it's interesting, and I'm very excited for it. I mean, I'm literally dying to see this movie. Like, I'm physically decaying the longer that I go without seeing this movie. But I just don't think Iron Man's realistically going to be in this movie. It would be kind of stupid in my opinion. And that would, in a way, I feel like almost close the window for him being in Secret Wars. Because it's like, oh, we're teasing him here and then he's also back. But it kind of cheapens it. I'd rather have there be like a 10-year gap and then we see him. So, yeah. Next up is going to be Jean Grey. I'm going to be honest, this is probably not happening. I don't know. I feel like all this Jean Grey stuff, like the storyline, kind of came to a close already. We're done. We're good. I don't have too much to say. She had like, the Phoenix storyline, of course, it ended, but I just don't really see this actress coming back, playing the role, especially like at this point. It's not like the largest character, and don't get me wrong, I really like Jean as a character, but I just feel like she's not really going to be in the movie. Kind of just using my gut here. I don't really have any like, super critical analysis. Just don't think she's going to be in it. Next up is going to be Loki. This is a super controversial one because of the fact that now we're actually dealing with the TVA in the movies. However, I'm going to put him under probably not, for the reason being, I feel like his story was meant to kind of be left off in this way where if Tom Hiddleston just didn't want to be in the MCU anymore, they could honestly leave it. And he's just kind of, floating up there like a god controlling everything. But if they want to continue it, again, I hate to keep saying this, but I feel like that's more of like a Secret Wars or Avengers 5 type of thing. I don't think that they'd immediately turn around and be like, hey, you're actually back. Because Tom Hiddleston's been talking in interviews recently like, yeah, I've loved my time with Loki. And not that he's done, but it just feels like he's taking a little break, He's like taking a breather. Then if it's like Secret Wars time, he's drinking his Gatorade, he's sitting on the bench at halftime, then he's going to be ready to go. But I think it's probably not happening right now. But we'll talk about some other, TVA people in a minute here. Next up is going to be Ian McKellen as Magneto. Obviously a phenomenal character. However, I think that it's probably not going to be happening. I just don't really see him being in this. I feel like he's getting up there in age. And don't get me wrong, the guy loves to act. Phenomenal character. But I just don't really see him actually being in this film. I feel like, I don't know, it's something about like the vibe I'm getting straight up. Like I don't really have any other, real analysis here. I just feel like he's not going to be in this. This just feels like a little bit above his pay grade. If he was in this movie, just to be clear, I would actually start screaming in the theater. I'm not saying I don't want him in here. I'm just saying that my gut is telling me he's not going to be in here. Michael Fassbender, however, because he's like younger, he's also Magneto, of course. I'm just going to kind of put them together. I just don't really see that. Actually, no. I'm going to put him in 50-50. I think there's a 50-50 shot that we see him and James McAvoy in here. I'm, spoiling a little bit ahead here. But I feel like, since they're like the newer generation, even though they're technically the older generation, whatever, you guys get the gist. I think there's like a 50-50 shot that they're going to be in here because they're like more recently played the characters, if that makes sense. I don't know. Next up is going to be Mobius. See, this is where we get very interesting territory. Get into very interesting territory, I should say. Because Mobius, you know, his story is kind of left off on like a weird end. I think there's definitely a chance that he could be in this movie. I'm going to put him in 50-50 because he's still working through the TVA. We don't really know like what's going on with him. It's kind of weird, like the way it ended. It wasn't like his story was like done. Like Loki's felt kind of like a conclusion in a way. Mobius just kind of feels open, and especially if they're going through the TVA, whatever, he might just show up and say, oh, hey, you know, Deadpool, we need your help. So I can see that happening for sure. Professor X, man. Professor X, Patrick Stewart. I mean, he just came back, so I know that you might be saying, oh, maybe he's going to be in this. I'm going to be real, though. I don't think it's happening. I don't know why you would do the same cameo, you know, quote unquote, 2 years in a row, or, you know, within 2 years of each other, I should say. It was a cool cameo in Multiverse of Madness, but why would you also have the same cameo again? And I get that this one technically would be, like, more relevant because we're going into the Fox X-Men universe, but I just don't think that it fully makes sense to have him here. I feel like Patrick Stewart's really getting up there in age, and again, if he wants to come back, be my guest, I would be screaming in the theater, like I said, but I don't think it's happening. This was an interesting pick that I feel like I've seen nobody talking about. It's going to be Quicksilver here, man. Is he going to be coming back? I'm going to say probably not, okay? I'm blanking on the name of this actor. Of course, I know his name, but obviously I'm recording, and so I have to keep talking, so I can't think of it. But listen, do I think he's going to get back here, Mr. Ralph Boner? I'm going to say probably not. I mean, I know I already have him here, but I'm just saying. I feel like it's one of these things where they're trying to stay away from the newer stuff, and they want to pull out some of the older X-Men characters, if anything. I just feel like, I don't know, there's, you know, less of a chance of him actually being in this than there is him being in it. So, up next is going to be Rogue. I'm just going to say not happening. I really liked Rogue in, like, you know, that first movie, even the second movie, but it felt like her story started to, like, fall off the rails by the end, and she was just, like, demoted to a side character, basically. I know that in Days of Future Past, there's, like, the Rogue cut. I've actually never seen it. It's like a cut of Days of Future Past where she's actually in it at least more, and, like, they have to go off to save her or something, but I've never seen that cut, so I feel like her character just kind of died practically, like, or at least the hype of her character. I don't really see her being in this. Halle Berry as Storm. This is a weird one. I'm actually going to say that she's probably going to be in this. I feel like, I don't know. This is just like one of those main X-Men characters where it's like, yeah, we want you in here. Kind of like James Marsden. I know I put him in 50-50, but I could see her really being in this. I think there's a good chance she's going to end up being in this movie. Coming up next is going to be Doctor Strange. Another weird one where I'm just like, ugh, what do I do here? Doctor Strange, though, I think is probably going to be in this movie for one reason and one reason only. We saw the portal, right? We don't know who opened it. It could be Wong, it could be Strange, it could be someone else. Realistically, it's probably one of those two. Maybe it's Ned, probably not. But I just feel like Doctor Strange or Wong. It's going to be one of them, of course. I feel like Benedict Cumberbatch, he's kind of this connective tissue type of character, almost like Wong, but on a bigger level. And even though, you know, we don't really know what's going on with the third Doctor Strange movie, have had the eye in the middle of his forehead, I think that he will probably be in this movie. I'm going to be real. Coming up next is going to be Teenage Negasonic Warhead. Is that her name? I think there's a 50-50 shot she's going to be in here. I know that sounds kind of crazy, but first of all, let me just say this. I think she's super underrated in Deadpool. She is so funny as like a little side character. Their banter and their conversations are hysterical. The way they're kind of like owning each other, it's just so funny. I think there's a 50-50 shot she's in here. I mean, I feel like she was kind of interesting. She's kind of funny. And again, I'm not trying to like play favorites here, but I would like to see her in here. But I'm just going to say 50-50. I mean, this is like a young actress. I don't really see her in much, so maybe they were just like, hey, you want to join the movie? And she was like, oh yeah, hell yeah, that's great. Up next is going to be Thanos. See, I don't know if they're going like to the Endgame battle or something like that, but I'm just going to say probably not. I feel like, again, in Multiverse of Madness, they just had Thanos, even though it was like half a second, getting killed, and it's like, how many times are we going to revisit Thanos? Just going to put him in probably not. I don't think it's not happening. There's a chance, because I feel like there's a chance that Deadpool and Wolverine go to the Endgame battle, and if that happens, I will literally lose my mind in the theater, and that'll be the greatest thing I've ever seen in my life. But for now, it's going to go down here. I know that we don't have too many absolute locks, but it's hard to obviously guarantee this stuff. Up next is going to be Thor. Thor's an absolute lock for one reason and one reason only. We already know he's going to be in this because apparently at CinemaCon they showed footage and Thor is like holding Loki's dead body. He's holding Loki's dead body, but Loki's body's been replaced by Deadpool's, and it's showing like alternate timelines. So even though it's not really a cameo, Thor is going to be in here, but also outside of that, do I think he's going to be in here? probably not. But since I know he's like in here and he has like a little moment at least, I'm just going to put him in absolute lock for now. Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man, this is like a bit of a weird one for me. I'm going to say probably not. I kind of feel like the way they left off with this character, he's not coming back yet. If he does, again, I will lose my mind. But based off odds, I think he's probably not coming back, at least until like Secret Wars or something. But this could be a good jumping off point to where we have our newer characters than the OG Wolverine and like the OG Spider-Man coming back. That would be so awesome though. But I'm just going to say probably not for now. Also up next, Chris Evans again as Human Torch. I'm going to say probably. I have a big feeling that Chris Evans is going to come back, but not as Captain America, as Human Torch. I feel like this sounds kind of stupid, okay? We've had a lot of promotions, whether it's the trailer or posters, that have like fire in them, and I feel like that's just hinting at the Human Torch indirectly. And I know that sounds stupid, I sound like a maniac, but again, we're trying to be spectacle here. We're trying to really use our analytical brains and just say who's going to be in this movie. I think there's a chance that he's going to be in here because we might see him, and I think it might be like some type of gag where like they show Chris Evans' eyes and it's like, oh my god, Chris Evans. Then it zooms out and he's bald, and then you realize it's actually just Johnny Storm. That would be really funny, and it's not Captain America. Next is going to be Wong. Again, I know that I'm kind of cheating here. I'm just going to put them next to each other. I think Wong and Strange are both probably going to be in this movie, but it's going to be like one or the other. You know what I mean? One of them is probably going to be in this movie out of the two. I just don't know which one it's going to be. More than likely, I feel like it will be Wong, because again, Wong is the guy who's like in every movie, and I kind of like that because, you know, it connects everything, and connectivity has been an issue with the MCU lately, but, you know, I don't want to get into the issues of the MCU. But Wong's going to go here for now. I feel like there's a good chance he's the one that opened the portal, and that's how they're actually going to get to, you know, the 616 or whatever, the MCU universe from, like, the Void. James McAvoy, already talked about this, 50-50. I'm pretty sure that there's, like, you know, just this chance that he could be in there if they have some type of flashback or if they, like, have a little cutaway thing. But I don't think he's really going to be a part of the movie. But again, I could be wrong. First of all, most of these people could probably be in the movie, and I have no way of thinking, right? It's just hindsight. Next up is going to be Daphne Keeney's X-23, and I'm going to end this with a banger. I think this is an absolute lock. In the trailer, okay, Logan is talking to somebody, or at least, you know, Wolverine, whoever, whatever this variant is, and he's like, you know, just don't throw away your life, kid. And I get it. He could be talking to Kidpool, who's apparently going to be in this movie. But I just feel like a variant of X-23 or this little girl, like Daphne Keene, is going to be in here. It's going to be something like that. I think it's almost a lock for her to be in here. They're going to see each other, even if it's not like the same variant or whatever. And this is my finalized list. Now listen, this could be completely wrong. We might be laughing at this in about a month and a half. But as of right now, this is going to be my final guess. Guys, thank you so much for watching this video. Let me know down in the comments, you know, what do you think, who do you think is going to be in this movie? I literally could not be more excited. I'm like counting down the minutes at this point to see this movie. But guys, that's going to just about do it for this video. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. I love you guys, and I'll see you in the next video.